they could not give him a single, like, and even when they said, okay, yeah, we'll come back later, it'd be like the next day.
Hey, we are gonna help you try and find some sort of chroma keying trainer.
Oh, they need animators?
And it would be a
that helps out further. And it basically grew from there.
Like,
the only real echoes I had in the past of Evan
what are you guys doing? I just don't agree with
didn't click in my mind until I realized, wait, this is the project Tributron was a part of.
Hello. Would you please introduce yourself and what got you interested in joining Mata Nui Rising initially?
Certainly. So for starters, the handle I go by here is technically sub-alt, so I can keep the actual animation I do separate. Basically a professional versus non-professional type thing. But what I learned about Mata Nui Rising, I didn't even know the project existed until I was actually approached by Bionicle, who I became somewhat friends with during the relative final twilight eras of G2 C2BS building, like 2022s.
When?
Yeah, I can. So my name is Crazipar. I am the quote-unquote death threats guy, as I think Topang put it a lot, which I'll clarify that later because I know that's going to be me specifically, I have no real direct... So I didn't work for MNR, but I have no real direct connection to them outside of the fact that my two amigos worked for them, and they were treated terribly by these fools. And also I was involved with tech, because I mean, tech was just the final straw.
Hello, gathered friends. Despite what the void of a profile picture I likely have would tell you, this is Sleepy Hawk Coco.
I wanted to go ahead and ask what got you interested initially into joining Mata Nui Rising.
It's a matter of, I guess, not really doing much in the Bionicle community, or if I did much of anything at all, then it wasn't, I guess, too significant. Because, I mean, I joined the Cataclysm collab, though because of the Mata Nui Rising stuff, I don't think it's going to even be considered.
And he was the one that brought it up after seeing my animation, possibly getting me in contact with Lovis and all that. The reason I bring this all up is, with COVID happening, 2022, 2023, and 2024 were very, very rocky years for me. And I made this crystal clear to everyone. That's something I wish to emphasize when further discussion happens.
How long into the project do you recall they were in for before things started to go sideways, from your recollection?
So when it came down to the MNR stuff, Coco and Gamma Blamma, or Kaiju Joe, whatever you want to call him, he has two names. I guess Joe for short, because that's his name, Joe. So Joe and Coco were both in the, I think, process from the start or close to it. I think this one was released during 2020, right? During the pandemic, and everyone was bored as hell.
Correct.
Yeah, and this, I think, because it was around the same time as the Cataclysm collab, but I never had any direct influence. They really wanted me. This is back when they were naive and thinking this would be cool. They wanted me to be part of it, but I mean, I was busy and drained and unmotivated, dealing with stuff at home and crap like that, and I just didn't want to be with it. But oh, you should be a voice actor. You'd be a really good voice actor. I'm like, yeah, I might, but whatever. And then now they're like, man, you dodged a bullet.
Yeah, so, I see.
However, when I did go with the project or learn more about it, I was mildly curious or optimistic, going off of how they were handling things, and the way the word of mouth I had gone, because I had not seen any videos, I did not do any research when Blaze offered the area.
Comments were you overhearing? And apologies for interrupting.
Oh, no problem. Basically how it's like a massive project, how it's very ambitious, and keywords that for someone that actually was going to animation college, the right things to get someone hook, line, and sinker.
So, was animation something that you were looking forward to specifically within the project? Yes. Considering I actually was, before COVID had me drop out, I actually was majoring in stop animation, trying to get a degree in it. Oh, wow. the Cataclysm of Hearts collab thing that was happening at the time. Was that how you initially got involved into M&R? Was through that collab through Miniamac?
Actually, it would be through Gamma, because he was talking about, hey, I am part of this project, and I know you make pretty damn good edits. And this isn't necessarily editing like sound effects or cut this clip into that clip, put this effect on that screen. It's more chroma keying it would be more chroma keying, but I think it would be pretty cool for you to be in this project.
What did they want you to voice as? Do you recall like the role?
No, it wasn't M&R that directly. It was just Joe and Coco trying to get me on board, and I never did. I turned them down because they were like, "Oh, this will be great, and you'll be able to exude your voice acting." Because I mean, they're both really impressed with just the stupid voices I can do on my own, and I just said, "Nah." It's like, well, you could be Antros. They wanted to be like, I think Antros was up for a role at that point, and I said, I'll consider it. But I never did. And thank God I never did.
They need animators? Well, that helps out further. And it basically grew from there. The only real echoes I had in the past involving M&R at all, it didn't click in my mind until I realized, wait, this is the project Tributron was a part of.
How did things started to seem off when it came to M&R?
So this was before the whole tech thing, before my involvement to begin with, right? I think this is when you were being kicked out, right? Joe was like, ugh. Guys, come on now. A little bit. He was really just a little bit by them. Because there was a whole drama. I remember he told me, I mean, to be fair, he was kind of getting a little annoyed with them to begin with because of just how, I guess, slow things were going or something like that. Mm-hmm. But he kind of thought it was funny because the official story, from what I remember hearing from Joe, and I guess from them too, is that you ran off with a bunch of stuff. Like you just up and left and like stole a bunch of assets for them or something stupid like that, because of course they would claim that and all this funny stuff. Mm-hmm. And then he thought, man, that is the biggest Chad mood I've ever seen. And it's just like, and now looking back on it, I think it was funny, but now that I know that all that was a lie and you were going to keep that stuff anyway, I mean, it just, it makes them
I was still going to mail
pathetic.
everything back is the funny part. And I still did.
And they never ever acknowledged it.
You guys already seen my face. It's hard to hide the face. I don't know why I wear this mask. I don't know why. But I'm taking it off. So, let's begin! New face. New time. So we have part of a Tahoe. It's not complete. I remember building this guy. This was going to be for when we go ahead and film the thing in stealth. And speaking of stealth, like this stealth toilet plant life, I was really looking forward to filming that. There's Trinuma. We had to update his neck because he couldn't look really well. I think his arm is in here. I found his arm. Has the 08 sockets. Still in good condition.
But, I mean, again, you were supposed to... you were gonna get it, because that's what Joe said. You'll get a bunch of free stuff. He still has his stuff to this day, from all that M&R stuff. I think Coco did too, but he didn't get too much because he was just an editor.
Mm-hmm.
But that was literally, like, the only thing that clicked. Because, other than that, my actual examination of major projects happening in the Bounty community is very, very much living under a rock situation.
Understandably so. Especially when everybody was locked in at the time in the year of 2020. Despite like the initial outbreak from my involvement with the project, and after its resolve, Joe and Coco were still interested in joining the project and working alongside them.
They weren't really interested. This was just kind of like a minor. I mean, because those two didn't really. He thought it was funny at first, and it's like, okay, well, these guys are just being idiots. But it wasn't nearly as like. I think the breaking point was about that time when things really started to move downhill, and then it just kind of compounded a bit because I remember him complaining about like deadlines and shit like that. I guess I don't know if I can. I don't know why I'm cussing, but still.
Don't worry, we'll censor it out with a sound of your choice in post edit.
Okay, I have a couple. I can send over a couple voice lines, I guess, for myself so you can hear me scream every time I'm swearing. Anyways,
if I had to give a rough estimate, this is me lowballing it. 25.
Fascinating. And out of those 25 people, how many were doing the bulk of the animation? Was it all evenly distributed, or
from what was actually available at the time in the server's showcase area for work in progress shots? Mm-hmm. The people that were submitting the most was Blaze, Borakman, Tributron, or sorry, well, actually, yeah, some of your stuff actually.
I see.
And Lovist and their Topang.
Because Gamma was an animator at the time, and he was looking at my animations. He thought it would be kind of cool for me to be a part of this project.
Ah, okay. And I take it you and Gamma have been acquainted for quite a long time, or?
I'd say going on about 10 years through Crazipar, as a matter of fact, because it all started with silly YouTube streams when we were all in Hangouts. Mm-hmm. Me, Kraz, and Gamma. I would actually be Cruel Koopa at the time, but that chapter has kind of sailed by the fact that I'm named after a cup of hot chocolate instead of a turtle.
Hey, listen, you can have, like, I don't know, chocolate turtles, you know? That's a thing that exists.
I mean...
What roles did Gamma Blamma and Coco worked on while they were at M&R?
Joe was specifically going to be an animator, and he was on there because, I mean, he had gone to school. He's got his degree. I think he's got a degree. He might not. But he went to school for animation and arts. He's been doing it since he was a kid, and he wanted to just be part of the animator. And then Coco was supposed to be an editor, who was supposed to be taught like chroma keying and...
It was actually because of an audio issue that Filmora started getting that I finally made the switch from Filmora to DaVinci, because that's what I was kind of flirting with anyway. Mm-hmm. But during the call, sorry for going on that tangent, by the way. No, during the call,
it's okay.
It was brought up how we could use Adobe After Effects, because I didn't trust Adobe at the time, not happening. Mm-hmm. Or we could use something like DaVinci Resolve, which it's free. It has a substantial amount of features for being a free program. It's actually more capable than Filmora in a lot of respects, I found out. So if I was going to learn any editing software besides Filmora, I figured I would go with DaVinci.
General using, I think, DaVinci or something. I don't remember what exactly they were using, but they were using was it DaVinci? Or am I wrong on that?
You were actually right on the money there. It was DaVinci.
Okay, yeah. So they were gonna teach him DaVinci, which I have and I've fiddled with, and by God, I cannot figure out how this cursed application works.
Oh, I agree. I also during my time with M&R, I was trying to learn DaVinci Resolve as well when it came to animation and editing. So I can agree on that. what did you admire most about M&R upon joining in? What was your first impression?
My first impressions of Mata Nui Rising was, I guess, what you'd see all across, especially the bigger parts of the Bionicle community, a sense of camaraderie. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
It's
can you elaborate
everyone's
for the folks at home?
Well, what I mean is, there's always a decent chunk of people that are willing to talk. There's always a decent chunk of people. Mind you, I'm a hermit.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm 10 times the hermit that I used to be nowadays. But I could still see the unity in this project, which is, I don't know, something that I am not going to try and take away from people as it stands.
Of course.
But another thing that I noticed was, I guess, how much talent there was going into this, because, of course, there was Gamma, and not to gas him up too much, but I feel as though he is a really good animator in his own regard. But you had names like, oh shit, I forget all the names of the folks, but Borak, I forget the numbers next to their name.
Upon the first days, it was mainly the cast of animators that I was seeing. I had already seen some of Blaze's work, so that already had me intrigued. I then realized that Borak Man, the guy who's done the very spastic Ignition War film, as well as the Lego SpongeBob Santa Claus sci-fi thing.
Mm-hmm.
And reason why this fascinated me is, I will just emphasize, when it comes to BioTube, like any YouTubers, I am very much a lurker. I tend to see someone when they're beginning and just cautiously watch from the distance and see how they develop. So I kind of saw both of them, to a degree, evolve their styles rapidly, going from stuff that was relatively smooth but had some choppiness to it, to stuff that genuinely, in my personal opinion, given enough time, patience, and possibly a budget, I could possibly see companies like Big Bad Toaster getting a sponsor for them.
Yeah, for sure. Were you looking forward to mentorship from Blaze and Borkman upon joining?
In the case of mentorship, more so just learning from them. Not even so much mentorship, considering I'm actually I think 2 years older than Blaze. But when it comes to Borkman, it was more so just learning how other people did animation, because that's a thing I find fascinating. Because when it comes to stop animation, there's literally no way you could do it wrong.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of those rare forms of animation that is impossible to mess up. It's just the only thing that might be quote-unquote messed up would be the frame rate, but even then, that's an easy fix.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you stated earlier that there were a lot of people working on the project. How many would you say, in a rough estimate, how many people altogether were there?
I'd want to say by the time I joined the project, they were actually kind of starting to wrap up episode 1, or I don't know if it would be at the time they started doing more episodic things for M&R, or if they were still doing more of a movie thing. But when I joined, progress was still kind of sort of slowing down, because pretty much all the scenes had been animated. They just needed to be edited and voice acted, all that good jazzy stuff. I'd say at the time of me joining, around 2023, there would be maybe somewhere in the hundreds, maybe, I don't want to say thousands, but because I feel like that would be highballing it a bit.
Yeah, but I think what I'm getting at here, from what you're saying, is that if there was a lot of hands on deck, basically, it seemed like, and everybody working together, and it was just a large amount of people in general.
And even for my first call, I got to see some of the behind the scenes stuff, some of the scenes. I got to see that some of the parts broke because of the fucking slime.
For me, that was something that they actually tested out before and gave up on because it supposedly corroded the plastic. Which I find a little bit hard. Which I find semi-hard to believe because there is a slime you can get. Although it's a bit difficult to get a hold of, it's not impossible. The Nickelodeon slime canisters from 2007 that were basically this giant vat that you could open up and it was basically like this like flubber material.
Mm-hmm.
That stuff doesn't corrode ABS and Lego or Mega Bloks plastics. I know this because back in my younger childhood days, I thought it would be a genius idea to use as an acid vat and dunk a bunch of the Mega Bloks orcs in it. They never broke, so that's how.
That's an actual thing. That's an actual thing that happened, by the way, for the gathered friends at home. And I don't know if this is going to be in the recording or not, but there's an actual thing where I forget who animated the scene.
It would be,
but
Lovis,
it was
actually.
with, I believe, it would be Lovis?
Yeah, Lovis did the slime.
Oh, right. And it was like, I think it was the scene with Mutren and Kyrox, where there was this Matorn just in the slime. Then he gets shoved back in. And apparently all the parts that were in the slime to begin with, maybe except for the hands on Mutran, were completely just fucked.
Oh, wow.
At least from what I remember. I heard the tale back in like 2023. It is now year of our something.
Our
2025.
Mata Nui. Yeah, the year of our Mata Nui.
Our Mata Nui.
So you were stationed as an animator within M&R, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Were you one of like the main animators or?
I was actually meant to do the scene of Nadiki fighting the Dark Hunter in episode 4.
I see.
I'm trying to remember his name. I think I might have it somewhere, but it's like the Dark Hunter that's known for being like gigantic. I believe like Gladiator or something.
Yeah, Gladiator and Devastator are both very large models.
It was either Devastator or Gladiator. It was like whichever one Nadiki ended up fighting that was in the script. It's been a bit since I've looked at it, so I went off the top of my head. But I was meant to do the full fight scene of Nadiki versus that Dark Hunter. And the reason why I say this is I had fully custom made the Dark Hunter for said fight.
What?
A mock of 2 feet tall.
To go back a bit, it seemed like there was a lot of animators in the project. How many would you say, in terms of like animators, were there in the project, considering how high number of total staff there were?
This might be highballing it again, but I'd want to say anywhere from like 10 to 20 animators at one single time.
But the issue is that they were all acting like an animation studio. So they had a bunch of these kids, quite literally kids. A lot of them were like still like teenagers or something like that, or like, you know, young teenagers. And they were expected to work at like 24 frames a second at like a certain frame rate and resolution, which is something that had no understanding of outside of like maybe Topeng, you, Lovis, in which, I mean, given how I've seen Lovis's animation, but Borak 123, like they have like a general understanding of like 24 FPS, 60 frames a second, whatever.
Yeah. How many were animating, like actively in the project?
I know Blaze was a part of it. I forget all the names of the animators, but I did see scenes of, I'm gonna keep it a stack, varying quality.
So, okay, here's what I do know, right? From what I got from Coco and at least like how everything is set up, there were there was like well over like 300 people on board or something like that. Yeah. And I think most of them were probably just like there in the server, just kind of hanging out. But I think like a vast majority of them were like, there was like 100 and something odd animators.
Oh, okay.
So I know there were more animators than just Blaze, or more animators than just Gamma, than Borak. There had to have been like way more people.
Realistically, like they were imposing this kind of unrealistic standard to them, and I mean there was just a lot of bloat. I think that's what Joe was the issue, because there was a lot of bloat, and the issue, and there were a ton of animators, right?
Was
but
this
I haven't watched.
Oh, was this a volunteer project, or were these animators going to be earning some like copay of any kind?
It was all volunteer.
Oh, fully volunteer.
It was all volunteer. From what Joe said to me, it was 100% volunteer work. You would only get the actual only thing that they ever offered to you was like exposure. I'm not lying, which is exposure, a movie to your name, like to your resume or something like that, and all the free stuff you'd get from them that Lobus would ship to you personally, and that's it. You wouldn't be getting paid nothing.
That okay, with such promising prospects, and even but it sounds of it being able to feature your own custom builds into this film. Where did everything start to go a little sideways?
That would be the factor of I made very clear upon my joining with Lovis when I did get in a call with them and other people that I was in a very, very rocky point in my life with a lot of uncertainties, and because of how much real life stuff was going on, my animation would be slow development. It's why in screenshots, if I've given any, I will state, I always emphasize I can't make any promises. Because with how unstable things were and uncertain, I was having to prioritize IRL stuff over an animation project, which
and to clarify,
there was not too much.
And to clarify with the
coming
folks
of
at home, and sorry for interrupting again.
No problem.
So you were balancing college at the time as well as work, correct?
In the very beginning when I was talking with Blaze before I joined the project, yes.
Okay.
But around the point of 2022, we ended up having tenants leave our house because of COVID-19. They got citizenship in Australia. So we had to completely pack up everything and move house. So we were stuck in this continuous stress to limbo of, do we have a house? Do we not have a house?
Wow. And was this informed with Lavis and the rest of the team that you were going through this situation? And
yes, I made this vocally clear, continuously, even in messages. Anytime I was asked for updates, I mentioned I will do my best, but I can't make any promises because there were so many curveballs that were thrown from 2022 to 2023.
My next question here is, as editor / chroma keyer, as you stated earlier, well, what was some of the first scenes you worked on when it came to Ignition 3?
What scenes? Because in theory, I should have been able to work on at least episode 2. But the kicker is I knew how to stitch clips together in Filmora and put music on top of it and put a voiceover with the funky little VTuber model I made in Vroid.
Oh, right.
But I didn't know how to chroma key for shit. So
was anyone
I
going
was
to be
supposed to be taught by someone was supposed to train me. I believe it was just to state it for the record, we can blur it out later. It was Matthew, I believe. Who's supposed to teach me initially.
Not just including around October, late October of the 22nd, I broke my tailbone and misaligned my pelvis at work. Basically meaning I could only sit down for an hour max at a time before being in pain.
So he had broken his tailbone and an axe. He fell out of a chair. It snapped behind him, and it broke his tailbone. He had gotten hit he was involved with a hit and run. He was crossing the street in Boston. And I mean, this is Boston, so people are going to drive bad. But he got hit by a car. It was a Mercedes with one of those little hood ornaments. He got hit crossing the street. The car kept driving. It was hit and run. He rolled over the car. He had a fractured pelvis or something like that, or a pelvic misalignment or something like that. It was bad. Keep in mind, I want to bring this up too, just for a funny little thing here. I on St. Patrick's Day of that year, I got hit by a car. I was also crossing the street. I got hit. I was like 45. He stopped. I was fine. I'm fine. You know, everything's cool. But not even like a week and a half later, on April 1st, Joe gets hit by a car.
And was this injury received like before or after the move?
This was like in the midpoint of the move. Salt in the wound, so to speak.
Oh my god. Okay, and what was the response with the team at M&R?
It was mostly it was most people being concerned or saying stay safe, sorry, all that. But then Lois constantly checking in for updates on animation.
And keep in mind, you know what happened? Also around the same time, excuse me, voice crack. Essenger had his van catch fire. He had a car fire, and his van caught fire, and it was a bunch of money. And these, again, I'm not saying this is any, like, again, this sucks for Essenger. It's bad. I'm happy he actually got compensated for it. But the mere fact that Essenger got compensation and even like a GoFundMe or something like that, like actual like support from these guys, but Joe couldn't get like a day off from animating or any kind of support at all, was just deplorable.
Why were they asking you so frequently? Didn't you like animate a lot in the past upon initially joining?
When I was specifically in the case of like them asking, it became the issue of I was juggling having to do animation stop motion projects for college on top of the tailbone on top of the move. So I was basically having to I was having to slow down everything I was doing for the project to a screaming halt. The best I could do was test out the equipment I got so that I could then possibly optimize and speed up my animation if necessary.
Mm-hmm.
I was basically doing double time, to put it nicely. Like, it, where I would normally put 100% in something, I was doing 200% on every front, and I was stressing myself out to hell and back.
All these people were able to animate, so I'm guaranteeing you that they're going. Like, again, I haven't watched the latest, like the new, I guess, the episode 1, I guess, because also that's funny. It was going to be a movie, but then they had to chop it up into parts, and now they're releasing it. They're doing batch releases like fucking Netflix with like their shows and stuff, right? They're just going to release episodically, and God knows when the next episode is going to be. But I guarantee you, all these animators are not going to be used, and I know that because it was really just, from what I was told, Joe was swarmed with animation deadlines. It was non-stop, it was brutal, it was constant, and even through everything I went through with him, and he's probably going to explain it a little bit more on his end, but he had gone through like a flood, he'd gone through a spinal injury, he had work, he was moving, he had all this stuff going on, and they didn't give one lick of a damn, not even a spare, right, to like, you know, pity him at all or give him a break.
A month apart, like twice, just to get a response. Has anyone else in M&R tried reaching out to you at all?
There were a couple people. There was Urisk and Lois at one point talking about, hey, we are going to help you try and find some sort of chroma keying trainer.
Mm-hmm.
And it would be a similar song and dance.
So I can't do any. He laughed at me for getting hit by a car because it wasn't green. I didn't wear green on St. Patrick's Day, so like misfortune hit me like a car. And then it was a big April 1st joke by Joe. It was karmic retribution. But other than that, it was funny in hindsight. I was making fun of him, but I was like, really like, damn, that sucks. These guys didn't care. He got hit by a car. They were like, whatever, make us the fucking thing. I think he was moving also during one of these times. I think it was like 2020 he moved or something like that. And again, 2023, Boston was hit by a huge flood warming, a huge storm.
And how frequently would they ask in regards to animation, Lavis?
If I had to give a rough estimate, over the course of DMs with him, I could be mistaken, but there's at least 5.
I see.
Reason why I state this specifically is all of them happened around like the late 22 marker to 23 mark, the 2023 mark being the more aggressive of them. And reason I state this is around 2023, that's when the flood happened, specifically in September.
Interesting. September of 2023, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And so, like, was Lava still asking you to do, like, stop motion animation even with the flood that happened?
A little bit, but after I then mentioned, like, combined with the flood, how I'm now working 4 days a week, because that's also a thing I feel needs to be mentioned. I also have, like, a borderline full-time job upon all of this as well, so college, tailbone, move, you get the idea.
Or was it? Yeah, 2023. It was either 2022 or 2023. It was one like late 2022, early 2023. I remember it was like a winter storm. Mine's a little foggy, but
yeah.
It was this huge like torrential downpour in like Massachusetts. Like it was a huge flood. Things were being like underwater. Like there was like 10 feet of water in like parts of like Boston. He got like his basement itself suffered like about 1.5 feet worth of water damage, like a whole like 1.5 feet of water in the basement, and like so much water damage. And they couldn't give him a break. They could not give him a single like. And even when they said, okay, yeah, we'll come back later, it'd be like the next day, expecting another thing to be done.
That's ridiculous.
And
even when he still had the injury and the
Joe's
flooding.
studio went from like having to be like stand up to on the floor to like something entirely, and they were trying to because he couldn't sit right either, right, because of his tailbone and his like pelvis and everything.
Yeah.
Joe's on a little amalgamation of he's a freak of nature, and he'll even say it with all the stuff that goes on with him. But he was so in the runner for it, and they kept harassing him. And then when Coco told me, yeah, they haven't gotten back to me yet at all, and I've been harassing them, like ringing their bell, trying to hey, can I like talk to these guys? Can I talk to these guys? Can I talk to these guys? Can I like learn how to chroma key? Are you guys gonna teach me yet? No response. To give them proof that hey, my basement's flooded. I lost a DS, a camera, an iPad, a laptop. I lost some equipment. I lost a bunch of stuff. I'm dealing with the fact that my basement's rotting now. It's got water damage. It's falling apart. I can't do this right now. And he's like, yeah, just make sure you give this to us tomorrow or something like that.
I see.
And I basically ended up more so spokenly / unspokenly with DMs with him, stepping down from the project to a degree, because there was just so much going on that I would not be able to actually do anything.
And did it seem like they were planning on just straight up letting you go from the project with the lack of production on your end of things due to circumstances?
Going off of wording, it seemed like it. The only neutrality that was given was that they said that would I like to stay within the project server? And I was like, sure. If necessary, I'm willing to at least assist by giving people animation pointers. And the reason why I stated this is a slight error I did, or like hiccup I did notice with like the people that they had animating.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's animating at different frame rates. And they were all being asked to animate at a set frame rate, which, going off of the animations I was examining and like seeing from the project at the time, some people were not comfortable with the frame rate that was being asked.
And then I find out again from text video, or this is where I kind of go like, okay, I don't like these guys. And when I find out, oh, yeah, free exposure, a ticket on your resume for basically nothing, and all their free Bionicle stuff, and maybe like a name in the credits, cool. I can't imagine that going wrong, because also like in hindsight too, like they're only harassing the people that can animate.
With Blaze, we were talking about the frustration both of us were having with the project, because Blaze was also an animator who was also getting hard for updates on animations, which is why I say they're treating the animation like it's a actual company project.
Yeah. And at the time, do you recall any, because of how professional they're trying to aim for this project to be, do you recall any purchases made in terms of promotion for the project
Yes. They use one of the smaller freelance jumbotron screens in Times Square to do an add-on.
What?
Yes.
And how much was that, if you recall?
Best I can give, considering it was one of the smaller ones, and they did say it was cheaper because when Tech found out, they were all laughing about it and like mocking how it's like, oh, the stupid man thinks that we paid this much for it when we paid even less. Best I can figure, it's the smaller scale one that's in Times Square. I have not been to New York, so I can't say exactly where it is. All I know for a fact is it's probably one of the smaller ones. They can probably rent out for like $100 to $200.
I see.
But
and
that brings up a major issue of they're making an advertisement for an IP that isn't theirs.
But they were running themselves and acting like a business, so much so that I remember this. They managed to get an advertisement on their for like a trailer, like the Mata Nui Rising, like the Ignition 3 trailer on a billboard, or not, but they got an ad placed in Times Square, like on like the billboard, like on a building, right?
Whoa!
And it would play through, and it was something. I went, what? Right? I looked up like the general ones, and they're like, oh my god, like $1,000 for an advertisement. But as it turns out, they paid like $45 for it, which is extremely cheap. But it was only played like a couple times, and it was like it was basically 45 times for every time you would view it, or $45 for every time you would view it. But the mere fact that we're going through all this stuff, and like in my mind, I'm like, you guys got like all this stuff going on, and you can't even think about maybe paying some of these people like a commission for like their work or something like that. You have to like buy it, and it's like, oh, but again, their excuse like, well, we bought all this stuff, like the Bionicle stuff for you guys. You'd be happy for it. And it's like, I mean, still, like you would expect some kind of compensation for it, because this ended up being like
that's
years,
insane.
like years into the making. And I don't know if you were around for this either, but around about the time when this whole drama was going down, their main channel got terminated, right? For a while, like they got completely terminated. They thought it was me and Tech and everyone else, like the trolls, that got their channel flagged. But as it turns out, through their I think through like an email they sent, it was either copyright or spam that did them in, like a false or something like that. And it wasn't even from us. I think it was like from UMG or something like that. Like, it was not from me at all.
It was,
but
not
of course,
from me
I
either,
was still their boogeyman in their head, right? And they thought I was like the UMG god or something like that. And like I got them taken down. I didn't. I profusely said that 1,000 times. I didn't. Oh, it was spam. No, they were caught spam, I guess. But their channel got reinstated, by the way.
This still sort of bewilders me in a way, because on the one hand, I mean, it's a project. You kind of gotta keep things like this from happening, because if everyone suddenly leaks, like, I don't bring this guy up in the best of terms, but Will Alex Ryan of DA Games is very stringent about like leaks and whatnot, whether or not, hey, this song is in production, please don't leak it. And people will eventually leak it in some way, shape, or form. He's not very happy with that. I get that. Cool, great, grand, and wonderful. Same situation here. Dogs gotta eat. And so, if dogs gonna eat, then this project needs to be, I don't want to say strangleholded, but monitored so that stuff like this don't happen.
What do you recall, to get back on topic here, so Tektonik joined into the project, was doing
he was meant to be an
animation,
animator. And within a week, he was removed.
Within a week? That's not that long. What happened?
Yeah. They didn't like a video he made that was basically satire over Lego Pride Month sets. Specifically, said video was a joke of an extreme, like, crazy person wearing a red hood mask, walking outside, falling to his knees upon realizing Lego's making a Pride Month set.
Understandably so. we're going to be going over a few screenshots here, considering your time of hearing about the project and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything else you want to add before we go into open commentary with screenshots?
I think maybe I should also. I think I should probably also like at least give like a timeline of how I got involved, because again I have no actual tie to them outside of my friends, which I didn't meet, by the way. I have met them recently, and they're great people.
Of course.
But it's just I want to explain my side of things too, because I have actually realistically I had absolutely no ties out of the fact that my friends were getting screwed over, and I was pissed, right?
Mm-hmm.
And also I'm not gonna take any opportunity to not fuck with people, so I'm going to do that, right? So, picture this: New Year comes around, right? And the year prior, you're watching Tech, right? Tech was supposed to be like this voice role or something like that, and he goes through this whole debacle about voice, whatever. And he gets in this interview with these guys, and he gets the job, whatever. But they comb through his channel and find his it was his video about like Pride with Lego. It was like the Everyone is Awesome set. And he was making fun of not only Lego for making cheap in quotations, that set is like ridiculously overpriced, like Pride merch and capitalizing on Pride. And he was also making fun of the people that were also buying it, because these people were like defending it with their lives. They were like going like full like crazy, like, oh my god, you can't be saying that you're homophobic, transphobic, blah, 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 throwing every single obic-ism at people because of the fact that they said this set looked ridiculous or stupid, or like Lego's capitalizing off of you, and they're sick of it. And I hate to say it, it is inherently a little political. It shouldn't be, but we live in this world. It sucks. Yeah, and if Lego, but still, like, it was Lego dabbling in places that it probably shouldn't be.
So I should probably add here as well that, just to clarify to the folks at home, that Tech was not in any way prejudiced towards any LGBTQ.
No, he wasn't. He made that very clear. Even in the interview that they did with him, because he got in a call with Lovis and Topang, and there's a whole video he released a while ago. It was like August of 2023, so about 2 years ago. He released this video, and he's taken it up, he's taken it down, he's taken it up, he's taken it down, because he didn't want anything to do with this. But I mean, given these cretins exist and their mindset, he can't escape it, unfortunately. But he got in the interview. They got in a huge spitting match. It made them look like fools, because they are anarcho-communists for you, everyone, because that's what they all claim to be. But like, and keep in mind, these people are also sending death threats to Tech over this stupid stuff, because they got hyperbolically invested in like the whole fact that Tech was a transphobe and like homophobic, because he said a piece of plastic was stupid, and Lego as a greedy corporation should not be doing that, and people defending it need to stop buying it and actually do something in terms of like supporting like gay people. The most homophobic take I know. But the drama didn't stop, because give it another couple months, from August, realistically it was like June, July, this whole the thing happened. So give it like 5 to 6 months later, this still goes on, because these people would make alt accounts and just watch and stalk and do all sorts of things with this guy. And I mean, he had enough of it. So on January 1st, to kick off the new year, he released the script, which he still had access to. I don't know why they'd even try to keep access to it, or even why they would not copy the script to begin with, which they did, by the way. And I have both copies even still. I don't know why.
Insane.
I could still screw with them every now, but they made a copy later, but I still have access to it, which I have no idea why. But whatever, whatever.
Yeah, poor management
poor management, of course. But he released the script, and the script is about what you expect. It's just copying from the books, really, and like the comics. Nothing really much has changed there. There's a few changes, but it's not really that drastic.
I see.
And these guys got into like a huge hissy fit. Like, this is a major data breach, whatever the hell. And like, again, the whole like the obics and isms and all that crap were thrown around again.
Yeah, I also find that perplexing as well, because Bionicle is a Lego intellectual property. So,
and I bring this up because, I mean, if Lego is willing to sue Nintendo for making Lego bricks, I mean,
Yeah, so in that case, what was the general response of everyone within the project upon hearing about this?
About the the Jumbotron thing?
Yes.
Oh, they were loving it. They were nerding out about it. They were treating it like it's the best thing since sliced bread.
And no, like, questions like, wait a minute, but if you're putting money into a volunteer project, then...
There was no questions. Nothing.
So, going back a little bit, from what I gathered from other interviews, because they seem to, M&R has been known to do background checks apparently on people. Do you recall them using alt accounts for monitoring and interacting with other people?
Yes. I can even confirm this.
Oh, really?
Yes, Crazipar, a friend of mine, when all this was going down, actually was monitoring some of the accounts that were talking and, like, bad-mouthing Tech when his video dropped. Mm-hmm. And some of the accounts were made the day of the video, to even a few months ago.
That's insane. All right. Well, I think this will be a good point here to go into our next section, where we will be going over some screenshots with open commentary. If you have any statements you would like to say before we proceed into the next section, please let me and the audience know.
Not off the top of my head.
All right, perfect.
And I actually might be able to pull up the conversation.
Later on in the segment, we will be doing open commentary over screenshots.
That might also help to get my ducks in the line.
We'll do that right now because we're kind of at that stage already.
I'm sorry if I'm kind of scrambling this whole process.
Oh, no, it's okay. It's fine. Everybody has their own way of communicating and talking, all right? There's no wrong way to talk. Well, maybe there is some cases, but I digress. So, it looks like here, Matthew...
Yes, here we go.
Starts off in stating, oh, that's neat. You moved the same day as my birthday, lol. Okay, sure. Let me know if there's time you'd want to do it before. If not, doing it after is totally okay. And then you responded, keep in mind, I can blacken out everything if you need me to in terms of your profile. I'll let you know if I find a day or two. And then you respond literally over a month later, and May 12, 2023, hello. And then a month later, and you ask, howdy, I'm ready for training if you are. Matthew then responds, same day, hey, what's your schedule looking like this week? And then you respond, expecting a call from either Chili's or Home Depot, whichever comes first, if that even happens this week. I don't foresee myself going anywhere, though.
We might have those screenshots in here as well, but yeah, here we go.
And you respond.
This is still with Matthew.
Okay. And again, 2 months out. That's crazy. And it looks, and to read for everybody at home, you messaged on the 27th of July of 2023. Hey, sorry, I didn't get back to you last week. I assumed you'd contact me first, and I sometimes suck at reaching out. That said, though, I'm free all this week until Saturday, 2 to 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, Pacific Daytime. And then in August 3rd of 2023, you then message again, hey, Chief, I'm down for training still, and I've got a schedule from now until the 27th. The 5th, the 9th, my birthday, the 11th, the 13th, and it's 19th, and the 22nd to 24th are all days I have off. Just let me know which day you want to go with. Or if you want to try and get something after work, though I'm usually run until 7 o'clock over here. And then I will see here, literally in October, from user Urisk. Yes, thank you so much. I profusely apologize that we haven't trained you yet. That is my primary fault for not following through. First things first, we need to decide what program you want to use. Most of the team uses Adobe After Effects, which is not traditionally free. There are 2 good free options, but they have a much steeper learning curve. These would be Ye Open Source, Master of Most Things, Blender, and DaVinci Resolve. Resolve would be a little bit easier to learn than Blender for this purpose. I'm not currently sure which is more capable between the free version of Resolve and Blender. And then you responded, I thought about using DaVinci Resolve myself, but I'm willing to work with whatever. And to clarify, this was actually the first time anyone reached out to you for like talking about what kind of different programs you can use for Chroma King, correct?
If I remember right, actually, like it was like either a couple days or a week. My memory's fuzzy about this kind of stuff. I apologize.
I know it's fine. It's
I remember being in a call where we would discuss, hey, what kind of editing software are you using right now that can use chroma keying? I brought up how at the time I was using Filmora. And that was the editing software I was most comfortable with. That's how I made my Charzaku 2 review. That's how I made my Mechagodzilla review. That's how I made pretty much every single video up until I want to say the Raydance compilation that I did.
That screenshot, that was the initial one that Tech posted because, again, he had gotten kicked a while ago. Keep in mind, Tech was let go. He stepped away from the project, and that should have been that. But he was still getting harassed by these people.
I agree.
Like alt accounts.
Yeah.
And he still was getting talked about, and they weren't letting him go. So yeah, he released the document, which again, it wasn't anything. I also, might I add, I have it could have been actual frames from the actual animation, which I have. I have a bunch of like frames, like actual like clips, like short, segments of animation from the movie. And I was maybe thinking of maybe releasing it, but I also thought, no, these animators aren't probably going to get credited enough, so I'm not going to do it.
Yeah. So the quote here,
I have it
by Topeng Productions, and I'm going to be reading it here. Hello, attention please. My apologies for the ping, but something happened. The new year has brought opportunities for us to turn over a new leaf. I'm not one to hold grudges. It is not in my nature. Even if people have done bad in the past, I truly believe that people are trying to be the best versions of themselves at any given point in time. And since it has been a long while since the Tech did this thing, I thought he might have, grown and changed a little as a person. Turns out he didn't, and he decided to leak the script. Despite being over 6 months, he's throwing another tantrum. Real stand up, my dude. Thumbs up. If you want, you can report the post and the doc so it can get taken down. There's not much else we can do. Legit, very strange and obsessive behavior. Tech is sad and strange little man.
What a
link
condescending little
report it. Any thoughts?
What a condescending little statement here, and cruelly ironic given the fact that Tech did get pretty harassed by them. Or I think it was just like maybe over the course of a couple months again, he had these just like again alt accounts. The whole reason why Tech even brought this back up is because they weren't letting it go, and that was it. It's just they couldn't let it go. And they pretended in their server that this was happening, but no, it wasn't. It wasn't. He released it because they didn't leave him alone, and he said, I had enough of it, so he released it. And realistically, it could have been anything else. It was a script, though. That was all it was. And these guys blew a gasket over it.
Because we were just talking about it, we'll go ahead and talk a little bit about this situation that happened here with Tektonik. So it looks like they are linking a Google document with the statement, some light readings from our friends at M&R. Do you know what this is about?
That is specifically the document of the actual script that they gave every animator.
Oh, okay.
They sent out a Google Doc to every animator.
I see. And this is...
And in the case of Tech, I believe it was one of the more higher... They had like different tiers from what I was able to gather, like a master one and a non-master one.
Yeah.
And also, keep in mind, no, actually what was really funny about this document too, again, they made a copy of it, right, which I still have access to. I have access to the copy of the document, and I have access to the actual document that they have that Tech released too.
But that's what it was, at least according to my brothers. That's literally what the script ended up being. A literal one-to-one retelling of shit that happened in the Scholastic books. So, same shit, different day, literally told through a Google document instead of a paperback book.
So there shouldn't be this big of a controversy then if the source material was one-to-one.
I think more of the concern, though, and part of the reason why I'm of two minds of it, I am still not the most willing to believe that Topeng wasn't acting out of some degree of malice.
And they nuked that document because, you know, I also made the joke that it wasn't accepting or inclusive enough, making like, you know, poking fun at how Hollywood has to make everything so politically normal, whatever, right? Their whole quota and shit like that ruins things.
Of course, trying to make it relatable
they decided,
for the general audience.
Again, they decided to, I'm not lying, I can pull this up on my document as well. I still have the document.
It's literally just it's basically a play-by-play of the script. That's literally it. It doesn't have anything spoilery unless you haven't known about Ignition 3. Unless you haven't read the books, there's nothing spoilery.
Wait a minute.
In fact...
So you're stating that the script is very true and faithful to the books and story serials and so forth within Bionicle to the extent that there's hardly any alterations.
Yes. A friend of mine even confirmed this when he actually got a hold of the script from this.
Fascinating, because if we take a look at the this is some more conversations with people within the M&R project, with Taiga talking about the channel. Okay.
That's the thing I would say.
There we go.
The way they're reacting, like the whole like one ads and time to get the blitz missiles, that is their default response when anyone wrongs them in their eyes. Immediately, that person must suffer a fate worse than death.
Which is very contradictory to the level of professionalism that they're trying to present with the project.
Let's see, what was...
Continue on with what Topeng Production says later on. He leaked basically all of our script, everything to a few months ago, which most stuff, I don't know why. He's a sad, strange man. Taiga then responds, I could share it to some other fandom groups to report since they wouldn't really care about the contents. But at the same time, Sir Edward says, pretty ass. Max then states, I've reported it. Is there anything else we can do to help? Taiga then responds, oh shit, this isn't on the talking channel, whoops. Lee Golly then says, what would I report it under? Automatic then states, I mean, in terms of lore, people might just browse through the books and comics, but this is still mean.
I mean, like, even there, they're acknowledging that it's just probably the book of the comic, but still, like, what?
Yeah.
The mere fact that they were going such a knee-jerk reaction to, like, because this wasn't just, like, reporting, like, the post, this was reporting his channel, like, trying to get it terminated because of this stupid thing. Which, if he wanted Tech to delete it, which I think he might have, is just to leave him alone, and they didn't do that, so they kept harassing him, they kept going on and on and on and on and on, and drug out, and it's just like, you guys are sad.
Yeah.
And they did not like the fact also that he released like the big dossier, which, by the way, he got in the call and recorded the call. He got permission to release the video. He got full consent to release the video. And even still, I think he lives in like one of the states that requires like one party, and even then it's also like a public thing, so he still has right to publish it either way. But he still got consent to do this video, and they were still upset that he posted the video and did the call, and people were like, "Damn, guys, what a bad move on your end," right? Because it was a mess.
I don't know if he ever made it. I'd have to double check, but this was something that I did see at one point, and actually, yeah, that's right. It was. Let me see if I can get a better look at this screenshot. Can you zoom in at all? Here we go. Bit by bit, that works. But we have, yeah, pretty much everything in this screenshot. Cool, great, grand, wonderful. What I want to highlight is the, that's right, that was Core Hunter with Tech's self-mock being decapitated by Core Hunter.
That's wild.
So, and I mean, hi pot, I'm kettle, but that's not cool.
Yeah, that's not.
I know what we did isn't cool.
That's cyberbullying.
I know.
That's what that is, effectively.
I know what we did isn't cool. The difference is I am admitting it. The difference is I still have a crumb of human left.
Yeah, and
Not
also
to say that
like,
these people don't have a crumb of human left, but for fuck's sake, if I am saying, okay, this is kind of bad, then how am I the only one saying it?
Wow.
So
Yeah,
these guys.
I can tell, considering what Lee has stated. That's what I reference. Not to act as the spokesperson of MNR, obviously, but I feel like his response kind of cemented the whole thing, where it's just clear that he knows he's in the wrong and he does not care. 100% response Topeng. He's been doing this from the start. His initial reaction to getting booted from the project for being impossible to work with before we even gave him any animation work. Then saying, hey, okay.
No, you go on.
Hey,
no,
we aren't going to tell people the crap you did because we aren't trying to cancel you or nothing. Have a good day. Was making a 2-hour drama video where he leaked footage of people not even involved, threatened to do this thing he just did, aka leak the script, and called us power-hungry sociopaths.
So I want to say that half of that statement is like hyperbolic and half of it's false, because that video is him going over specifically like the whole ethic behind what MNR was doing, right? Mm-hmm. Because the reason why they were flagging it, because everything was going hunky-dory, right? Up until they saw that video, to which they were forcing Tech to take the video down because it would make them look bad somehow, and also didn't agree with them politically. And that's where this whole debacle started with Tech. Take down this video about Lego being a greedy corporation and having like just doing what every other corporation does and being spineless. Mm-hmm. And we'll agree with you, and you'll get the role. But if you don't, then oh well, kick rocks. And I want to point out, you see in that corner, like the right corner there, right, mm-hmm. of the thumbnail, right?
Yes.
That corner was one that was the person I was talking about making death threats to Tech. It was, I mean, he also was hyperbolic enough to like make core, because he was role playing as Core Hunter as well. He made like Tektonik, like the mock of Tektonik. And he had his Core Hunter rip his head off, which, I mean, it's stupid, right? Realistically, that's like such a nothing burger of a thing. But still, he still was doubling it down on like the whole like, Tech should die, right? Mm-hmm. And it's just like, yeah, Tech should die, right? Mm-hmm. And Tech's like, what are you guys doing? I just don't agree with Lego making this stupid piece of plastic, man. And I find it cruelly ironic enough that Tech is able to agree. He got them to agree. Corporation bad. Because they're anarcho-communists, or self-proclaimed like anarcho-communists or socialists or something like that, right? So they don't like capitalism at all. And Tech said, yeah, I don't like corporations, man. I don't like Lego's scummy business practices. I'm also just calling it out because I think it's just such a nothing thing to do for like gay people, right? And like the wider community, right? And it's just like such a mind boggle why they don't agree with him and why they were so dead set on Tech deleting the video, removing the video. Not just like, oh yeah, or not only just that, they were forcing him to make a statement clarifying that he is not transphobic or homophobic in any way, and the video that he put out was false. It was them trying to make Tech conform to their views in such a way, which I don't know why.
Was it through like blackmail or bribery? How was this being conducted?
It was harassment. They just kept doubling down on it, and again, they just kept egging him on.
Now we're gonna actually go into some screenshots that you have submitted. Actually, can you describe to me and the audience at home what we're looking at here?
This image is one of the aftermaths of during the flood tutoring when it was beginning to drain.
Mm-hmm.
If there are other images that are going to be scrolled through, it's probably going to be, this is the flood and how high the water was. It was ankle high. Some of my electrical equipment, such as Dremel drills and things I used to customize and modify things for animation, were arcing in the water. The flood was that bad that it was shorting out power sockets and things.
Wow. And
in total, the damages with the floor combined with all this was like 10K plus.
That's insane. And was anybody in M&R still like pushing you for still doing animation during this event, or?
During this, it was mostly like people being sorry, and I was basically emphasizing more so, I apologize because I really do want to animate for the project, but I keep getting wrenches thrown at me. Wow. It was around this point when I basically unspokenly at first took a step down from the project before discussing with Lovis my current working state, where I'm working right now and all that, that I fully stepped down officially.
Go over here. Tyga says, oh wait, Crazy Monkey is requesting access to the following document. And it says, this script is gay. Can I please edit it? I think I can do a better job. Please, ew. There's a comment, LMAO. Lava says, yup. And Gabagool says, yeah. So
this is where things started to rip roar. If it wasn't Tech posting the screenshots I sent, being like, ooh, I did something now. This is when, I'm sorry, I'm turning it into a bit of a broken record, but
hey, it's okay.
This is roughly when it would actually start like really kicking up. And I believe at this point in time, in the call with my brothers, it would be easy to kind of replicate this. We actually made an emote in our little server. This one right here.
Okay. There we go. Frenzy.
and I had that emote with my status saying something along the lines of, may chaos take the world. And all throughout, it was something like several hours of this shit going on.
Mm-hmm.
All throughout, I was listening to Only You by The Platters, because that song comes, well, it doesn't come from Far Cry 5, but it is used in Far Cry 5 for something described as classical conditioning. And I won't go too much in detail about it. You have to play Far Cry 5 in order to get the direct details on why Only You is so important, but suffice it to say, like the Frenzied Flame is to Elden Ring, Only You, in a sense, is to the world of Far Cry 5 in Hope County, Montana. And that's really why I had that song playing, because, again, I did not care. And when this happened, everything just turned off.
And here is a comment.
No, that's one of my comments. This script is gay. Can I edit it, please? Ooh, I could do better job, I think. And again, there's probably some like mildly again. There was also like a probably there's probably gonna be like a comment of me somewhere doing something like mildly like really just really offensive. I mean, that, I will say I was a little offensive with my comments. Again, I don't mean anything, but it was just the fact. It was me poking the bear with like the bottom of the barrel stuff that happens.
Yeah, and it looks ironic. Like that they thought it was tech initially. Before
they had a good trouble trying to figure out who I was. I would say, yeah.
Usually, I have this section reserved for questions that the fandom might ask you. However, because we don't got anything listed right now, instead I'm gonna take this opportunity to have you voice your thoughts and opinions to M&R, in case if you have anything to say to them specifically in particular.
What I can state is, while I understand if there are some grievances or frustrations you might have with me, I will state I can understand if any of you have beef with me for not being able to give updates. However, I would still emphasize to at least have given some slack considering the amount of things I was dealing with. And I was transparent about this. As for things that have been accused of me when it comes to the tech drama, incorrect on many different fronts. I won't go into the full spiel, but I will state that with the members that are in my family, I am not transphobic, I am not phobic in any of the rights. I have an uncle who is gay, I have a cousin who has fully transitioned.
Yeah.
I could go on. My sister is even Latino. Like,
and I will also state here that this entire time, Gamma Blemma has been talking to a trans person as well, so...
on that front as well, I mean, Coco, who's a friend of mine, says and goes by them being bi. Like, I do not have issues with people that wish to experiment with themselves or even change who they are to make themselves feel more comfortable. I may have had bad experiences in the past, which makes me hesitant or apprehensive, and I always make this vocally clear with everyone I interact with, because back in high school, I did have a very bad encounter with someone that kept changing their gender literally every day, so I had a bad stigma for anyone that is bisexual or trans. So I always have that stigma. But even then, I always say just be patient with me. That's the thing I always emphasize. Just as long as you're patient with me, I make things crystal clear. I don't lie about what I'm doing, this, that, or the other thing. I play it straight to the chest. Everything I say here and everything I said then, I was being honest.
Thank you.
If anything of mine came off as hostile or frustrated, that's just because when I get heated or passionate about something, I'm honest. I don't try to sugarcoat things if something looks like it's going bad.
Oh, this is... Should I watch what I say? I'm not gonna watch what I say
you're going to be reviewing over this later on, but...
So...
All you.
First and foremost, we'll get this out of the way. To Mata Nui Rising themselves, I don't know what I want from you anymore. Whether I want to see the whole project just spike in a huge amount of, I don't fucking know, budget or popularity. It's somewhere across like 30,000 views on YouTube right now. Whether those are just rewatches or not, I have no idea. But it's gotten some traction and some people are excited. And to that note, if you gathered friends at home are excited about what Mata Nui Rising does still after this video, go ahead and have your fun. I'm sure you aren't going to be disappointed. My personal stance is it's kind of the Applebee's of Bionicle projects, where it's not Canister Wasteland, but it's not... I don't fucking know. It's not... Tagadox falling onto a button that says, that was easy. It's not the best and not the worst. At least from what I've heard from my brothers, at least from what I have been able to discern, especially in hindsight. If you wanna watch Mata Nui Rising Episode 2 when it comes out, go ahead. I'm not gonna stop you. I'm not gonna pretend like I can stop you. I'm not gonna pretend like I want to stop you. But the folks managing Mata Nui Rising have to understand that this cannot continue. I cannot keep getting pissed off at you guys because I wasn't taught jack shit. I can't keep getting pissed off because the situation's being dug out of its grave all over again. Just so someone can prove a point. I'm quite frankly, I'm done. I'm tired.
To end it off here, usually I would have like for the person being interviewed to answer some questions that fans or community members might ask who side with the Commission 3 that you could answer. But in this case, like, if you can't think of anything off the top of your head, is there a final message that you would like to give to those
final
working
message
with MNR?
Yeah, actually. So first off, again, I guess this will be like my formal. I did make a formal apology in like a live stream, but I don't think anyone there that really watch it, where I was going over it. But to formally say, I apologize for my false allegations of you posting illicit images in a Discord full of minors. It was not you, Lovis. I'm sorry. I did not. I was convinced that you were someone else. I was in the wrong. I apologize for that front. But, buddy, you are still just as deplorable with or without these allegations. I'm disappointed. But to the fans of MNR or like the people who are watching this, I mean, I'm not going to criticize you for watching it. If you want to watch it, if you had an investment for it, go for it. I don't think, realistically, I mean, the mere fact that there's still like something going on with Bionicle is cool enough, right? And the fact that we're finally getting like maybe an installment for Nixon 3 and it's a big fan film, sure. But I mean, if you I mean, again, you can watch it, but I recommend you don't. I don't want people to like support them in a way. I think all of it was just it was poorly mismanaged. And if I also at least want you to realize that there was a lot that was going on behind the scenes that they would not tell you. They lied. They would harass. It was a big deal. I also still want to say that some of these people are, even if it's not Lovis, and even if all these were not true, some of these people were still pretty degenerate in the fact that they also had these weird sexual fetishes that you can go find on their Twitter and whatever, and they would pretend not to have them, right? And they pretend not to like know anything. So I do want to say, like, be careful out there. The world is a bit of a scary place. Politics are all high. Paranoia's around. Just be careful out there. And I mean, to all the animators that have to suffer through it and had to sit there and watch this whole debacle, I am also sorry that you have to go through this. I really do hope that maybe you get the recognition you deserve. I hope you maybe learn from this experience. I hope you maybe can grow even a little bit from this. I do wish you the best. But I mean, to just MNR itself, I mean, buddy, your channel should have probably stayed terminated.
Thank you.
Yeah, no worries, man.
For getting the time to talk with me today, and for allowing the folks of home to.
It was nice getting this off my chest. Yeah. I did kind of carry this around a little bit for a while. Though again, knowing that like I beating myself over like the fact that like I really stooped to the low of making a false allegation, whether knowingly or unknowingly. I didn't do my due diligence enough, and I felt bad for it. And I still do feel bad for it. It makes me just I feel like incredibly like just I don't know like bad about it, but also like again I can't feel too bad when I know the guy is the guy who made up a lot of stuff himself. And but still, I mean, I'm happy to get this off my chest. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to interview, even if I wasn't directly involved. At least they could hear the words of their boogeyman come out and say his piece, and whether or not they're going to believe it or not, I don't really know. I don't really care. I'm anticipating a new wave of alt accounts on my channel.
Hey, we're all going to be holding hands together on the Kini Nui singing Kumbaya.
Just singing Kumbaya.
As everything is on fire around the Kini Nui.
Oh, man.
All right, well.
Alrighty.
Let me end this recording here. Oh, perfect. That is... I thank you for taking the time for chatting with me in this interview. And thank you again for sharing your experiences that you've had with the project. I know there was a lot, but also it was very straightforward. And
not the way that was expected.
Yeah. I couldn't word it better myself. But thank you, and yeah. Ending recording now. Hello, fellow compatriots. This is your host, Tributron here, and today I wanted to go ahead and take this moment to go ahead and talk about my time in Bionicle Mata Nui Rising. Now, though I have interviewed the rest of everybody else, I thought, I should interview myself. So we're going to go ahead and take this opportunity to do that. So first and foremost, I first found out about Mata Nui Rising through online, mainly through Discord. I heard about this project and how they're looking for like animators and stuff like that. And I'm like, hey, I could probably join up in Mata Nui Rising, as an animator. That would be a lot of fun. And this was early on. I think it was either like 2018 or 2019 when I first joined. And this was in the early stages where we didn't really have a lot of animators at the time, but the group was still substantial. Like, we were getting a lot of voice actors. We decided, and when I say we, it's more so specifically Lavis and I. Lavis and I made a lot of decisions. When I first reached out to Lavis to see if I could join in Mata Nui Rising, they quickly accepted it. They were very eager to get more animators in, but we also, from that moment onward, we became really close friends, and we would just talk about everything, and our trust went so deep with each other that Lavis made me co-director. So I was the co-director and head animator for the project because I had experience with animation, and I was helping Lavis in how to animate. And at the same time, they were helping me with different software that I could use. Now, one of the first softwares that I tried utilizing was DaVinci Resolve, which was an editing program. Before, I would use VideoPad video editor at the time. And I would keep using that program even into Ignition 3, because I was more familiar with the program. I would put one frame at a time at 0.625 frames a second, and for the duration for each image sequentially
to make the animation, and then I would speed it up, and sometimes to make it feel a little bit smooth, I would add a blur effect. And it's a long process to do that, basically making an over-glorified slideshow, because I would try to aim for 60 FPS if I could. However, at the time, with the camera that I had, the video quality was at 1080p. And we were aiming for a higher image quality at the time. So we were trying to go for about 2K, I would guess, from my recollection. And still, like, even with that, like, they weren't too hard on me about that. They kept wanting me to try different programs so that I can animate quicker. I was doing a bulk of the animation for the most part. I would animate 3 to 4 hours a day every single week, and I would film hours and hours and hours and getting as much footage as we can get, because we were still looking for animators. And we didn't want to let anybody know that we were actually struggling to find people that are willing to do the animation. Like, we got a handful of people, but every single time we hired an animator, they were too intimidated. They didn't want to do it. It was too much. And the expectation was too much. And so I was like, okay, Lavis, you and I, we're going to try to keep doing the animation at this point. However, Bora Command didn't want to animate initially either. They just wanted to be an advisor, help us out, give us advice, as I stated earlier. I always pushed for, as co-director, hey, we should aim for quality. If we keep rushing it and try to make more and more, try to make up larger quantities, like, we won't have a good product to showcase to the community. It needs to be high quality, and that was something that I always pushed for. And whenever Lavis had an idea for something they want to do in the animation, I was always the second opinion. I would help in reviewing script and storyboarding. I would talk with the storyboard team, the writer team. Even though we were trying to stay very faithful and true to the books, it was very true. Not a lot would try to change when it came to telling the story of Ignition 3, especially Shadows in the Sky and all the story serials connected with that. We tried to be as faithful as possible. And I was always trying to be there for everybody in the project. I would communicate with them. We had most of the content debuted on my channel because it was the biggest at the time. And so that way we have better outreach and it will be easier to do. However, it led to a lot of confusion because I remember, especially early on when we were all working on it, people kept asking if I myself was the one that made the first two Ignition films, that being Noah Productions. I am not Noah Productions, and I always kept correcting on that regard every single time. Now, during this time, it was probably close to 2020 at this point. As we're doing more and more animation, I've been animating a lot of scenes, talking back and forth, especially when it comes to music production, how we're going to be doing these different scenes. I even made a few mocks, and over the course of time, they would, Lavis personally would mail me a lot of the mocks that will be featured in the film, as well as 3D printed mask or damaged or broken resin casted Bionicle pieces. And that would go on for a couple of years. Ever since I first started, they would always mail me stuff. But it was starting to get close to the point where I had a bit of a self-reflection around this time in the year 2020, where I had a fan reach out to me. At this time, one of my builds, Makuta Pterodax with Shadow Hand, was getting very popular because no one has made a Makuta Pterodax with an actual working Shadow Hand while still being faithful to the original set. And it talked about how they wish they could have that figure, but with how expensive Bionicle and just Lego has been getting at that time, it became very difficult to actually be able to build any mocks in general, either it be mine or someone else's. And it led me down a rabbit hole of thought, which was probably where everything started to go downhill, where I asked myself, I wonder if there is a way for us as a fandom, as a community, to be able to make our own Bionicle parts and sell them. Like, be able to make a buildable figure. Because if we're having difficulty now in the year of 2020 and getting our hands on some vintage pieces, then what's to say how difficult it will be from years from then or the next decade after that? What happens when it's just more than the lime sockets that just break, or the 08 sockets? And at this time, I remember even CCBS bones were breaking. They were getting old because they were first debuted in 2012 or 2011 with in Hero Factory 2.0 or Deal of Fire specific. But it made me realize that for a community to keep thriving and so forth, we need to create new stories. And the stories that Lavis and I were wanting to convey is it's the same song and dance as in the books, just in a visual narrative, which is awesome, yes. But then, what happens after that? What if you make another Bionicle film, and then another, and then another, and then another, and then every single film or episode that we make, the less media we have left to express the legend of the Bionicle. There's only so much story to be had. And I wanted to bring back something new to the story. I wanted to bring new stories, but I didn't want to leave the project outright. And I was talking with them about with Lavis specifically. It's like, hey, I'm gonna be working on this project. I don't have a specific name for this toy line that I'm gonna be working on, but I won't be able to animate at the capacity as I was before. And keep in mind, as the year went on, the more and more focus I was putting into Ascending Depths at the time, now that I actually got an official name, which is the toy line. And the more I was starting working on it and trying to make an actual building toy, the less I was animating. And they still wanted me to still do animation, and I was like, okay, I'm still going to be working on the animation. I'm working on scenes as fast as I can so that we can at least get episode 1 out and keep going from there, because the film was getting so big that earlier on we decided to just do fully episodically. That's what Lavis and I planned from the very beginning. And very early on, I would say 2018 or 2019, we decided at that point in time. And so I already filmed a lot of footage at that time, but again, my process is slow. Even though I was producing a lot, especially if I'm dedicating every 3 to 4 hours a day, just doing stop motion animation for every single day of the week. It takes a while to edit it all together, especially in the method I do it, which is why they were pushing me to get a different program so that I could animate quicker
So the only thing I had to do is put the images and folders into the animation program, and it can just render it all out. However, the issue came when I would reach like up to 600 photos at a time on the low end. And so importing that many images would just break the program. It could not handle it at all. So I kept using VideoPad video editor. As I was doing less animation, they were like, okay, if you're not going to be animating as much, it's fine, and so forth. Finish the scenes that you're going to be working on. And I also mailed like stuff back as well during this time, where it's like, and I emphasized to Lavis, it's like, hey, stop sending me stuff. Because at this time, I was getting tired of being mailed random Bionicle pieces and like 3D printed stuff, because they were always loose in the box every single time. And even the Axelara had like a hole in its box when it was shipped. So a lot of the Tektonik pieces and so forth are kept spilling out of that box. It was not secure at all. And I feel like it was mostly trying to build an incentive for me to work more, because I was getting a whole bunch of Bionicle stuff. But it wasn't really working, considering, again, I was thinking more so long term for this fandom, this community. We need new content. We can't just keep recycling the same old stories that we've been seeing. But I didn't want to leave the project either. I had a lot of weight in the project. As co-director, a lot of people usually came to me, for second opinions, because a lot of us would just tell you, oh, that's good, I like it very much, now do more of that. When the person in question actually wants constructive criticism, it's like, okay, I know it's good, but how can I do it better? Right, because this is Ignition 3, and we need to emphasize on making sure it's the most highest quality we can possibly achieve with the resources that we have available. So I would do a lot of overview on scripts and so forth, figure out, okay, how we're going to be conveying these scenes, how these characters are going to interact, and so forth. Getting our timings correct for certain scenes. And I was focusing more on that. I was focusing more on directing. And when it finally was put to shove, I realized that I could no longer balance between Ascending Depths and Ignition 3, because I did the Kickstarter at the time, and I got $600, and all the backers supported the project. I was like very surprised and impressed by that. And so when it came to working on this toy line, I realized that it's asking a lot, and it was a decision that had a lot of weight. It was not an easy decision for me to make at the slightest, but I realized I can't work in the project anymore. I can at least be a director, at least, but I cannot animate now. I actually have to spend the time I would use for animating for making the new toys and products. And so I let Lavis know about it, and they were like, okay, ship the items back, mail them back. And I was like, I should be able to mail them sometime in the fall of 2022. Because, and this was the year of 2022, I believe. It was 2022, and I needed to get, it was 2021. Yeah, it was 2021 when I made the Kickstarter. It was around November. And around like 2022, when it was actually a success, I was like, okay, I need to prepare for making these toys. Love is like, okay, mail the stuff back, and I needed to mail the stuff, so I was like, well,
I'm going to try to launch Ascending Depths in the summer because that would make the most sense of 2022. And because of how busy that's going to be for prep time, I can mail things in the fall. All the stuff for the film and so forth. And everything was already bagged and so forth. Like, I tried to not mix Lavis's stuff with mine. I try to keep it separated and organized as best as possible, so there's no overlap of any kind. And at first, like, Lavis was taken aback by this, and everybody was in the project. Every single one of them, from Guinness Walker to Automatic, I think, and a few others, reached out to me and be like, hey, you gotta mail this stuff back. And I remember I told them, listen, I literally can't right now. I got a lot of stuff that I gotta do. All right. And just please wait until the fall. I will mail everything to you back around, close to the fall. And for whatever reason, after they agreed, they would be willing to wait till fall for me to actually get everything sorted and organized, because at the end of the day, Ignition 3 is a volunteer project. I was not paid to stay there at all. And I just need to preface this. I did not melt any Bionicle pieces. I'm never sure where that came from, where that speculation came from. I never had any intention to melt down the Bionicle pieces. I legit was planning to return them. And I'll probably showcase all the disturbing footage in regards to, like, myself in this documentary as well when it comes to that. So yeah, I never had any plans on melting any Bionicle pieces, not at the slightest. If anything, because I was working on Ascending Depths at the time, I realized that, like, these Bionicle pieces that we have surrounded ourselves with, that we grew up with in our collections and so forth, do not have any actual value except for their materialistic cost at the end of the day. They're no more valuable than a water bottle, a PVC pipe, or what have you. Like, they are just all plastic at the end of the day. It's old plastic, and they're vintage toys. They've always been vintage toys. And as I'm recording this right now, Tahu Mata, the red one, if you will, he's 24 now. He's 24 years old. And if you have a Toamata or a Tahunga or a classic Turaga or even a Boxor or a Borak or a Rakshi even, you would know that those joints are getting loose. They're getting old. Even if you grew up with G2, those pieces, they're not going to be as strong as they were when you first bought them. But the memories that we make with them, the nostalgia, will always live with us. And honestly, that is the most beautiful thing, honestly, that as a fan, to look back on, and how important this toy line was in our development and how we grew up as people. But we need to move on. We need to grow. We can't keep holding on to the past, because if we keep holding on to things for so long, how long until they start losing their meaning? How long until those same stories that we like to retell over and over would just become an echo chamber of this and this theme, until we experiment with everything that has left to offer? There's a lot of creative takes that everybody has done in this fandom, and I'm still fascinated and in awe in the beauty that I see every single day. But sometimes you just have to let go. And with that, like, I was hoping that others would understand that. Now, again, I may not use those same exact words, but that was the same vision that I had since back then, when I was kicked out of the server and banned right after
after a leak of the conversation Lavis and I had that was taken out of context. But I will say, now that I remember, when I was able to at least chat with the people at M&R, it was a telephone game. I would talk to one person who would talk to the next person, and of which they would talk to the main group of people. And then they would discuss with themselves, come back to me, and rinse and repeat. I had no contact with Lavis face to face in a voice call or chat because they too blocked me. I couldn't communicate with anybody. And when they came to wanting me to mail everything back, it's like I literally can't mail everything right now. I have too much at stake. I was worried because they said that I had a lot of weight on this project, which is true. I was the glue to their project. I was the one that helped get things moving and going to push for the highest quality we could possibly produce with this project. And I was like, I understand that, but there's people that paid me for a toy. You guys haven't paid me at all. These people have to come first. I'm not so sure how to put this. I realized that things weren't going in my favor at all, and I realized like I needed to do more convincing. And I was like, okay, I'll just give you a 3 golden Ignica or something like that. I can make you whatever you want, please. Just, if you wait till fall, I'll just make you whatever you want. A mask, what have you. You can injection mold it, you name it, okay? I'm working on a toy line. I'm sure I can go ahead and make you a mask, and you can resell it, what have you. You know, make as much money as you want to make with that. Just please wait until fall so that I can at least mail all the Bionicle pieces back to you, and I'll be able to help everybody in getting the polybag set that I promised to my Kickstarter. But that didn't go that way. And I even emphasized in the video that like I should be paid a lot of money for all the years that I worked for this project, for animating it, like about like 2,000. And it was like taken out of context, of course, where they thought that I was trying to ransom. That wasn't the case at all. I didn't want to ransom I didn't want to hurt anybody. And I tried to tell people that it's time to grow up, though that could be seen as hurtful to say to someone. But I feel like now, after years later, I feel like a better term is that we need to be more mature with not only each other, but with ourselves. That is the most important thing, more than anything. And no matter how many videos I made and so forth, like it did not matter. I tried to reach out. I tried to communicate them. They wanted me to apologize for something that I never did. They wanted me to apologize for so-called stealing. That was never the intention. I even wrote a document for Sword to sign for when they did pick up the Bionicle pieces and stuff. I had them sign a document, and I probably still have that document somewhere with their signature. I did return everything.
Guess what I found, fellow compatriots? Alright, so this was made on 2022. And this is a document that I gave to Swert. Keep that in mind. And I know my voice sounds a little bit different. I've been voice training lately, so let me know down in the comments how convincing this is. But anyways, it says here, this document states the terms and conditions of any and all items for filming Bionicle Out of Power Ignition 3, which have been mailed to insert dead name here, be returned, and that the items in question shall not in any circumstances be separated from their packaging until the items be returned to Items shall not be tampered or damaged in the process of handling. Any damages inflicted to the packaging or the items falls under the recipient's responsibility. Extortion or misinformation in regards to the items in possession is prohibited. Misconduct in obtaining and handling items is also prohibited. Upon possession of the items, the recipient has full liability in delivering the packages. Has granted Stephen Wirt to return the items in question back to him, and as such has full liability. If signed, Stephen Wirt agrees to the terms and conditions presented above. And they gave their signature right here, and then insert the name here in terms of signature. I mean, not to like dox anybody, but I got a document here, so yeah. Just want to point that out. It's midnight as I am recording this. It's literally midnight. I'm tired. I'm exhausted. But yeah, back to the video. And after mailing everything back, I aimed for trying to continue working on the toy line. That is the only thing that I had left. The only thing that had a semblance of meaning, of care, of love was just this toy line that I was working on. Who was it for anymore? I didn't know, but I knew that people wanted to see this polybag that I was working on. They wanted to get their hands on it. And if push comes to shove, I will do whatever I can to bring Terex to those fans. And over the years, I kept working on that. And by myself, I had no contact with the Bionicle fandom or with Ignition 3 at that point. And in that journey, I found people that were still caring, people that still looked forward and optimistic about this Bionicle G3, as they would call it. Was it really? No. Not at the slightest. But it's built on the foundation of what made us like Bionicle in the first place. And maybe that's all Bionicle G3 needed to be. And you probably know how this story goes, with me being removed from the fandom, becoming almost like the black sheep. I was the Voldemort, if you will. I was never mentioned or talked about. My name was taboo from that point onward. I was accused of ransoming Bionicle pieces, melting Bionicle pieces, apparently not returning Bionicle pieces to Mata Nui Rising, which isn't the case at all. They got their stuff and my belongings because they didn't wait. They pushed me. They rushed me into mailing that, which means they got a lot of my stuff too. Now, does that bother me? Not really. Do I miss some of my collection, especially from 2008? 100%. But I'm building that up slowly but surely. And to this day, I'm still working on Ascending Depths. So my final, if I have any questions that the fandom might have towards me would be, like, do I snort ABS? No, I do not. I do not snort ABS. Everything is super well ventilated when it comes to injection molding and so forth. As a matter of fact, all the budget and funding has been going into building the studio, which means I will be able to have more creative range in producing some actual Ascending Depth sets. through recycled waste that I process and refine. And most of them utilizes not ABS, but one of the more common plastics that you would see in your recycling bin. Because ABS is expensive, and not a lot of people would use ABS in a lot of the disposable products that you would see in a lot of packaging. Do I still have any of the Bionicle sets that was mailed to me? No. A matter of fact, a lot of the stuff were in pieces. They were in pieces. So hardly anything was complete. Most of the stuff that were complete was either the mocks or some of my own sets or Lavis's sets. And even then, it was not a lot. And I don't think it was even $1,000. There's no way that was $1,000. Do I still think it was like blackmail at the end of the day? Absolutely. Because I did say that I was going to mail the stuff that like I actually needed to get a job. I needed to work. It was very important that I get a job. It's very important. And so that comes first, my own livelihood. But the fact that they were putting this project before my own livelihood, it was concerning. And I need to make that clear that trying to ruin someone's reputation just so that you can get them to mail stuff back through misinformation is wild. It's wild. And it seems like I knew earlier on that I had no choice but to mail everything back because it went public. And they knew that. They 100% knew that. My final message would be to Mata Nui Rising and to Lavis and everything. Looking back on it years later from now, only thing I have to say really is we've had a lot of talented people. Within M&R. And upon my departure, not a lot of people wanted to be a part of this project anymore. Or people were indifferent about it. Or people just lost interest in Bionicle in general. And to have that much of a negative effect on this fandom to the point of alienation due to one person's insecurities, that being Lavis, is truly saddening. But when you have someone leading a project that's very much of a yes man and always pushes for higher and higher expectations without actually putting the time and effort into those working on the project that are putting sweat and tears in making this thing for you, it can be concerning and alienating at times. And what people need is someone that can keep a level head. And whatever the fandom decides, if it's still like going to be view me as a black sheep, then oh well, I'm still going to be in my corner. I'm still going to work on this toy line. You're saying people have not bought any of my stuff? People have been buying my stuff. They have been buying Ascending Depths products and merchandise for a long time now. I've been selling locally. I've been going to festivals, events, conventions. And the thing is, and I must say this, everybody thinks in this side of the fandom that this fandom, without it, you won't go anywhere. But from the people that I met, either it be like from mermaids to pirates to engineers and robotics enthusiasts and what have you, performers and everything, the world is so much bigger and so beautiful, a lot more bigger than a lot of the fandom tends to hype up Bionicle to be. And you know what? Maybe that's the real Golden Beach, is seeing all these creative people doing their own thing and not trying to just purely live off of nostalgia. And I want to say one last thing, and this is the same message that I said years ago, and that is thank you. Thank you for pushing me. Thank you for creating this false narrative. And thank you for both the moments we've made together as friends, Lavis and Guinness and Borak Man. All of you, thank you. Because if it weren't for those moments, I wouldn't be where I am today. Of finding new connections, new friendships, communities. Because, sure, it might be fun to touch grass, but to run in the whole entire field is a whole other thing. Happy building and play well, everyone. And maybe I'll see you in another familiar beach.